All right, Adam Carolla is with us. He's in a car going to do a hit on Greg Gutfeld, but to show you how desperate the guy is for publicity, he is actually going to call into us. Adam Carolla's show is the most downloaded show in the history of podcasting, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. And yet, just to show you how greedy this guy is, he's doing a series of comedy specials for the Daily Wire. He's going to bring on guys like Jay Leno and Rob Riggle. Adam, it's great to talk to you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
No, I noticed your show is called Truth Yeller. I wanted to do one called Old Yeller, but I was afraid that Shapiro would use it as an excuse to shoot me. You have a huge podcast, and you've been in the top 20 podcasts for a decade. What made, aside from pure greed, what made you want to do this show?
I'm a comedian, and I sort of naively thought I was going to do a stand-up special and just throw it up on Netflix or HBO or something like that a few years ago. And I learned pretty quickly by their super insulting responses to me that there was no longer a home for me on any of those traditional platforms. But I'd still like to find an audience for these specials. I'd like people to see my work. So when it came evident that I was not going to be putting it up on Netflix or HBO, I was in Nashville doing Candace Owens' show, and we just ran into Jeremy Boring and the rest of the honchos over there, and we just started talking comedy with them, and they said, yeah, we'd love to put one of your specials or 6-year specials on our network, and the rest is history.
You have been admirably fearless in terms of your outlook and your attitude. I guess I'd call it libertarian if I had to call it something. But you have Jay Leno. That's a huge get to have on the show. But Jay Leno said when he was talking about cancel culture, he said, these are the new rules. You want to adapt. You don't get up and tell jokes then, basically saying you got to obey the cancel culture rules. And yet you haven't done that. And you also convinced Leno to come on. Was that a problem? Was he reluctant to come on?
No, he wasn't. I just, now I don't know if he knew what he was doing, but I just said, I'm shooting a special, He's an old friend. He's the kind of guy who would do it if he could. He loves doing stand-up. He likes me, so it wasn't that tough a sell. I mean, I had to call him and, get him to do it. But, no, he and I have done many things together over the years. So it wasn't that tough. And yes, I do say what I want to say.
So do you think it will be a problem with others? Do you think you can get guys like Bill Burr or will most people shy away from being in the same house as Shapiro and the rest of us?
Well, I think it is about change and perception. Amazon, used to sell books online, right? Now they sell diapers and deodorant and everything else, right? So it's like things kind of morph and evolve. I think the Daily Wire started off as something, and it's going to evolve into an entertainment platform. And so whatever that stigma is of a conservative, podcasting platform, that's kind of the old definition of it. I'm assuming once there's enough comedy, once there's enough action movies, once there's enough for sports on there, that the Daily Wire is not going to connote what the Daily Wire connoted, a few years ago in people's minds. So I think there's definitely a transition, and you're not going to get out of the gate with Rosie O'Donnell is not going to come on, out of the gate, and neither's Chelsea Handler. But at some point, as time marches on, I think it'll be clear that this is a place to do comedy versus a political platform.
All right, we'll get back to that in a moment. But first, look what I got. You're going to love these. These are Kamikoto knives and cutware. I really do like nice cutware, and this is beautiful. Kamikoto makes great Japanese steel kitchen knives using traditional techniques from Japan. It comes in this great ashwood box. They only use steel that comes from mills in Japan. Absolutely beautiful and not that expensive either. It really is, you can really get good deals in this. Kamikoto is currently having a massive sale. You can get an additional $50 off any purchase you make with discount code Klavan. Click the link below or go to kamikoto.com/Klavan and use promo code Klavan to save an extra $50 today. These are really nice. They're really beautiful, and you can get them on the cheap if you use that code Klavan. Bet you want to know, right? How do you spell Klavan? Ha! Ha! Would I tell you? Yeah, I'll tell you. It's Klavan. There are no E's in Klavan. I just make it look this easy. Yeah, I mean, listen, I got to give you credit, Adam, for being who you are and for saying what you've said all these years when it was not, when there was no place to go in a lot of ways. I'm wondering if you can say something about Norm Macdonald. We all loved him at the Daily Wire. I thought his memoir was one of the funniest things I've ever read in my entire life, and I've read a lot of very funny stuff. But it did seem to me that his career was hobbled to some degree by his outspokenness. You've managed to get around that. What did you think of Macdonald, and how have you beaten that system?
Well, how have I beaten the system?
Well, yeah, start with Macdonald, though. I mean, what did you think of?
Yeah.
Well, let's start with Macdonald. What did you think of the way his career went and what he was doing?
Well, Norm is a friend. People sort of mistook us for each other, which was interesting. Now I'm back to Gilbert Godfrey, so it's been rough on me these past few months. Norm, I think there's a little bit of a misinformation about Norm and his career. I think we kind of have the career that we had for Norm in our head. We decided that he should have a better career or more fruitful or successful or something career given how talented he was, right? So that was kind of our, Norm, as you said, why didn't he have quite the career that he could have? But Norm, and I don't think everyone understands this, not everyone wants that career. People, not everyone wants to host a late night show for 25 years. A lot of people just want to work and then go do what they want to do. I empathize, the thing we're on you're on a hit sitcom for 10 seasons. Not everyone wants that. I think Norm had the career he wanted, but he didn't have the career that we wanted for him.
That's a really interesting take, and I'm not surprised to hear it. I mean, I've been around the arts my whole life, and you're absolutely right about that. How have you managed to stay ahead of the bad guy? I mean, you talk about Netflix disrespecting you and being insulting to you, but you seem to have kind of done continual end runs around them. How has that been, and how has that worked?
Well, I mean, you were talking about how do I work within the system, and the answer is I don't enter the system. I stay out of the system. I'm driving right now and speaking to you in my car. I'm going to my studio in my warehouse with my employees and my equipment. Gutfeld's bringing the van over, and we'll do the hit. That'll be parked in my parking lot. Then I'm going to go to the next building, and I'm going to work on documentaries that I produce with my people. I'm going to start preparing more Truth Yeller with my people and my editors. So the way I've managed to navigate the system is not to enter the system.
That's interesting. But that's obviously not something every comedian can do, right? I mean, some comedians, that all they can do is comedy. You obviously have a kind of a business, an entrepreneurial streak.
Yeah, I don't know if it's entrepreneurial or self-preservation, but I just never, I always knew, who wants to navigate the system? Navigating the system means altering I mean, if you look at, you just think about that phrase, navigate the system. That just means, well, you're not going to say 100% of what you want to say when you want to say it. You're going to have to navigate the system, I didn't get into comedy to try to navigate. I just got into bloviate. So if you can put that on my headstone.
So now the other day, Jack Dorsey stepped down at Twitter, and he was replaced by this guy, Parag Agrawal, who says that he doesn't feel that Twitter, and I assume other social media sites, are responsible to the First Amendment, and they then instantly put out a new series of terms of use that seem to me are going to make it harder to make fun of public officials, who it seems to me should be our first punchline. Public officials in a healthy democracy are the first people you should go after. I'm curious to know, given your career and given the flack that you've gotten from Netflix and other places, when you look forward, do you see things getting worse for independent voices, or do you see them getting better for independent voices?
I think it's going to get better, because I think they've created this. They have, they created or helped create the Daily Wire. They've helped create Gutfeld. They've helped create me. They've all of their locking down and censorship and McCarthyism is creating business models beyond their platform. So they're essentially, it's basically whenever they try to arrange a boycott of Chick-fil-A, sales go up 47%. It's basically the same theorem brought to entertainment, right? Thank you for trying to arrange a boycott, says franchise owners of Chick-fil-A.
So aside from just being funny, what do you want from Truth Yeller? I mean, Truth Yeller is a kind of title that says there's going to be something a little bit more than comedy going on here. What is the thing you're trying to accomplish?
Funny mixed with that's true, mixed with, oh, I never thought of that, mixed with some head nodding, mixed with a couple of points, that you could walk away with, or ideas you could share, but mainly just kind of funny, nonpartisan entertainment for an hour. One of the things about you is that you're actually not all that political. I mean, when I've heard you do comedy, the comedy is idea comedy, it's concept comedy, it's not really political comedy. Where are the places where your concepts alienate the left? Well, they don't like me just saying whatever I want, whenever I want, without vetting it essentially with them. So conceptually, they're not down with just the notion of a comedian that doesn't, check with them first before they tell their joke. Number two, look, if you land on most truths, they're going to skew a little bit to the right. I mean, there's just a little more reality involved with the right, and but I don't know. You want to make a joke about race, for instance. They want to make no jokes about race. I like jokes about race. I like jokes about culture. They want no jokes about that. So you're going to run afoul of them. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it is funny. I mean, I always think I miss racial humor. I think that humor is what you do with your friends. You make fun of your friends, and they want us all to sort of be in separate camps. Adam, it's great talking to you. The show is Truth Yeller. I'm really happy to have you at the Daily Wire. We're proud to know you. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll have more great content coming your way if you subscribe and give us a like.